Chapter 7 Birth of Jamadagni and Vishwamitra. Purva had 6 sons Ayu, Amvasu, Vishwavsu, Shrutayu, Shatayu and Ayutayu. Amvasu had a son Bhima and Bhima in turn had a son Kanchan. Janu was the son of Kanchan's son Suhotra. At the time of Ganga's descent on earth, when Janu saw his hermitage inundated, he drank all her water. He released the Ganges only when the Devarishis prayed him. Since then, Ganges also came to be known as Jahnavi, the daughter of Jahnu. Lineage of Jahnu grew as follows: Jahnu, Sumant, Ajak, Balkashva and Kusha. Kusha had 4 sons: Kushambh, Kushnam, Adhurtaraja and Vasu. Kushambh observed severe penance with a desire to have a son like Indra. Pleased by his penance, Indra himself took birth as his son. He came to be known as Kaushik. Kaushik had a daughter named Satyavati who got married to Richik. Sage Richik prepared kheer in 2 parts, one for his wife Satyavati and another for Satyavati's mother. Instructing Satyavati, he went to the forest. When Satyavati and her mother were about to eat the kheer, her mother exchanged her part of kheer with that of her daughter, saying that her son had to foster the world while the son of Dizij had nothing to do with wealth and all that. Satyavati agreed to that and ate that part of kheer, which was reserved for her mother, whereas her mother ate Satyavati's part. When Richik returned from the forest, he noticed formidable changes in the body of his wife. He understood that she had eaten her mother's part of the kheer. Angrily, the sage predicted that she would have a son who would be Kshatriya-like in virtues, whereas her mother would have Brahman-like son. Satyavati begged pardon and requested the sage to change his prediction, saying that the crime was committed by mistake and that she would be happy to have a Kshatriya-like grandson but not a son. At her request, the sage changed his prediction. As per the prediction, Satyavati gave birth to Jamadagni, whereas her mother gave birth to Vishwamitra. After giving birth to Jamadagni, turned into a river named Kaushiki. In later course, as a partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Parshuram took birth as the son of sage Jamadagni. Chapter 8 Description of Kashya vansh. Purva's son Ayu had been married to Rahu's daughter. They had 5 sons: Nahush, Kshatravrid, Rambh, Vraji and Anena. Suhotra was the son of Kshatravrid. He had 3 sons: Kashya, Kash and Gritsamad. Shaunak was the son of Gritsamad, whereas Kashya was the son of Kashya. Lineage of Kashya grew as Kashya, Rashtra, Dirdhatpa and Dhanvantari. Dhanvantari's body was free from all the physical faults like aging and diseases. Dhanvantari's lineage grew as Dhanvantari, Ketuman, Bhimrath, Dibodas and Pratardan. Pratardan was also known as Shatrujit because of his conquering his enemies. Since he had acquired a horse named Kulvai, hence he also came to be known as Kulvayashva. Pratardan had a son named Alarka who enjoyed his rule on earth for 66,000 years. Lineage of Alarka continued as follows: Sannati, Sunit, Suketu, Dharmaketu, Satyaketu, Vibhu, Suvibhu, Sukumar, Dhrishtaketu, Vitihotra, Bharga and Bhargabhumi. It was progeny of Bhargabhumi who gave rise to 4 classes of people. Chapter 9 Description of King Raji and his sons. King Raji had 500 prowessive sons. Once at the beginning of battle between the demons and the gods, they appeared before Brahma and inquired as to which part would win. Brahma said that only that part would win which would be aided by King Raji. First, the demons approached Raji and requested him to fight from their side. King Raji stipulated that he would fight only when the demons agreed to appoint him as their Indra. The demons told him that Prahlad was their Indra and returned. Then the gods also approached King Raji and requested him to take their side. Raji put the same condition before them also, to which the gods agreed. In a fierce battle and aided by King Raji, the gods defeated the demons. After their victory, Indra bowed before King Raji and expressed his desire to present him with the kingdom of heaven. Thus King Raji became Indra. After the demise of Raji, Narada instigated his sons to acquire the rule of heaven. All the 500 sons of Raji approached Indra and requested him to give them the rule of heaven, but Indra refused plainly. At that, Raji's sons dethroned Indra forcibly and themselves became Indra. After much time had passed, Indra approached Brihaspati and prayed him to help him regain the rule of heaven. Brihaspati assured him that he would soon establish him at the throne. Afterwards, Brihaspati created illusions in the minds of Raji's sons. He also conducted many yagyas to increase the radiance of Indra. Guided by the illusions, Raji's sons began to behave in anti-religious ways. Then Indra easily killed them all and regained his designation. Chapter 10, Tale of Yayati. Nahush had 6 sons, Yati, Yayati, Sanyati, Ayati, Veti and Kriti. Yayati had 2 wives, Devyani, the daughter of Shukracharya, and Sharmishtha, the daughter of Vrishparva. Devyani gave birth to Yadu and Turvasu, whereas Sharmishtha gave birth to Druhayu, Anu and Puru. Because of a curse of Shukracharya, old age had descended on Yayati prematurely. Yayati then requested his eldest son Yadu to exchange his youth with his old age, but Yadu refused. Then Yayati requested each of his sons one by one, but all of them refused plainly for the fear of getting old prematurely. At last Yayati's youngest son Puru gladly accepted his request and gave him his youth. Regaining the youth, Yayati once again indulged in carnal pleasures with both his queens. But every day his desire for pleasures increased like a fire flared up by ghee. After 1000 years, Yayati realized his mistake and decided to expiate for his sin. Thus, Yayati returned Puru his youth and acquired his old age once again. Then, crowning Puru as the king, he took an exile to the forest. Chapter 11, Yadu Vansh and Tale of Sahasrarjun. Yayati's eldest son Yadu had 4 sons, Sahasrajit, Kroshtu, Nala and Nahush. Sahasrajit had a son Shatjit, who had 3 sons, Haya, Haya and Venuhaya. Lineage of Haya grew as Dharma, Dharmanetra, Kunti, Sahjit, Mahishman, Bhadrashrenya, Durdab and Dhanak. Dhanak had 4 sons, Kritvirya, Kritagni, Kritdharma and Kritoja. Kritvirya had a prowessive son Arjuna. Arjuna had worshipped Dattatreya and by his blessings acquired 1000 arms. Since then he came to be known as Sahasrarjuna. Dattatreya had blessed him with many other boons like rule of entire earth, fostering of his subjects in religious ways and killing by some human being famous in all the 3 worlds. At that time, there was no other king equal to Sahasrarjuna in virtues. He ruled the entire earth for 85,000 years. Once Sahasrarjuna was enjoying his pastime on the waters of Narmada when he happened to have an encounter with Ravana, the king of Lanka. Sahasrarjun captured Ravana easily and imprisoned him at an isolated place in his kingdom. With time, ego of Sahasrarjun had crossed all limits. He began to terrorize the sages and other religious people. When his atrocities increased beyond tolerance level, Lord Vishnu took a partial incarnation as Parshuram, the son of sage Jamadagni and Renuka. As per the prediction of sage Richik, Parshuram grew with Kshatriya-like virtues. He had in fact taken incarnation to relieve the earth from the atrocities of egoist kings. Parshuram had received arms training from none other than Lord Shiva. He was very obedient to his father and had beheaded his own mother by the Parshu axe that he had received from Lord Shiva at the dictate of his father. In due course, Parshuram not only got Ravana released from captivity but also killed Sahasrarjun. Sahasrarjun had 100 sons, among whom Shursena, Vrishsena, Madhu and Jayadvaj were prominent. Jayadvaj had a son Taljunga. Taljunga had 100 sons, among whom Vitihotra and Bharat were prominent. Bharat again had 100 sons, whereas Madhu also had 100 sons, among whom Vrishni was prominent. After the name of their forefather Yadu, this clan came to be known as Yaduvansha. Chapter 12, Description of Kroshtu. Vansh. Lineage of Kroshtu grew as follows: Kroshtu, Dhwajnivan, Swati, Rushanku, Chitrarath. Rashibindu. Rashibindu had 1 lakh queens and 10 lakh sons, among whom Prithusharva, Prithukarma, Prithukirti, Prithuyasha, Prithujay and Prithushan were prominent in their lineage. Later on occurred a king named Jamad. He was so dedicated to his wife Shavya that despite being childless, he did not dare to marry other women because of her fear. Once, Jamad took part in a fierce battle in which he defeated all his enemies. While he was about to return, he heard pitiable cries of a woman. He saw a beautiful young lady who was crying for her protection. Jamad was so infatuated by her beauty that he took her to his kingdom. When they reached at the gate of the palace, the king saw that the queen Shavya was waiting for him along with a big crowd. When Shavya saw a beautiful young lady sitting beside the king on the chariot, she began to shout at him. The horrified king tried to explain that the young lady was his daughter-in-law. The queen shouted even louder that when they did not have a son, whence the daughter-in-law came. But the king explained that he had selected a wife for her would-be son. As the effect of their conversation, Queen Shavya soon conceived and gave birth to a son in spite of her advancing age. They named the son as Vidarbha. In due course of time, Vidarbha got married to that lady whom his father had brought home earlier. They had 3 sons, Krath, Kaushik and Romapad. Romapad had received preaching from Narda. Lineage of Krath grew as follows: Krath, Kunti, Dhrishti, Nigriti, Dashard, Vyoma, Zimut, Vikriti, Bhimrath, Navrath. Dashrath, Shakuni, Karambhi, Devrath, Devakshatra, Madhu, Kumarvansh, Anu, Kurumitra. Anshu, Satvak. Satvak was the forefather of a clan that was named after him.